Hey, hello. In the spirit of the season, I'm wearing my Universal Studios famous classic Monsters t-shirt in tribute to what I consider the founding fathers of real horror. These are the guys, the ghouls that originated horror. Let's introduce you. This is Dracula from the 1931 film starring Bela Lugosi. And as far as I'm concerned, Bela Lugosi is the only true, real Dracula. Then you've got Frankenstein's monster, the great Boris Karloff from the 1931 Universal Studio film. Here you've got Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman, that classic. And he was from the 1941 film of that same name. And here you have the 1925 Phantom of the Opera. This is the real Phantom of the Opera because this is Lon Chaney Sr., well known as the Man of 1,000 Faces because of his makeup artistry. And he starred in the first Phantom of the Opera film in 1925. Then you have Elsa Lanchester, the great actress Elsa Lanchester right there, who is known as the Bride of Frankenstein. And the Bride of Frankenstein was from 1935. Then you've got over here the great creature from the Black Lagoon. He's from the 1954 classic Universal Studio film of the same name. And here he is, the Invisible Man, Claude Rains from the 1933 film. And we finish off with the Mummy. This is the real Mummy. This is Boris Karloff as the original Mummy in the 1932 Universal Studios film. All these great monsters were brought to you by Universal Studios, which is why I think Universal Studios is the greatest studio of them all. Let me tell you a little story. Back in the 1960s, when I was growing up as a young boy, I was obsessed with these very monsters. I used to watch these Universal classic monster movies all the time. Almost every single day they were on television on some channel. I was constantly watching these films. I was obsessed with them. As a matter of fact, my Aunt Loretta, God rest her soul, during that decade of the 1960s, all the way into the 1970s, she would go to a toy store on Central Avenue in Jersey City to buy me Universal Studio monster models. So she would bring home every week a different monster model that I would glue together. I would glue the model together, and then I would paint it. And I did this for all these monsters and many, many, many more additional monsters and additional versions of these same monsters. And I had a whole house full and a whole bedroom full of monster models of these classic Universal Studios famous monsters. I couldn't get enough of these monsters. Couldn't get enough. I love them so much. I was obsessed with them. I even used to draw them. I used to draw cartoons of these monsters when I was growing up in the 1960s. I just love it. So whenever I get the chance now to see one of these classic films on television now, I never pass up the opportunity, which is why I'm a big Svengoolie fan. On Saturday nights, I DVR my Svengoolie because he shows a lot of these classic films. And these are not to be missed. I encourage all the new generation to please watch these films. This, to me, is what made horror horror. Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason, all the modern day current monsters that scare you to death, they all follow in the footsteps of these folks who came before. And that's why I have a special affinity for these folks. I have a special affinity for this whole classic genre of monster movies from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. I'll tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, they don't make them like they used to. But that's a whole different genre today. It's a whole different type of horror now. But this season I want to celebrate the classic monsters because I never want to forget where we came from. We started watching as kids these monsters before the Jasons and the Freddy Kruegers and the Michael Myers came along. So there you go. And this is just a sampling of many of the other classic monsters that are out there from the old days. So I just wanted to share that. I love my monsters. I love my classic monsters. And I continue enjoying them. And this is one of my favorite seasons of the year. And I can't get enough of these guys.